This is Camnet News. Thank you so much for choosing us. My name is Sharon Kalimbola. The top stories on our desk this evening. Given Lubinda accuses President HH of becoming a dictator as PF toast to victory. Vice President justifies Faith MUSONDA'S forfeiture of dubiously earned money. Government suspends operations at KASENSELI gold mine. In international news, Libya's unity government stresses commitment of ceasefire. And in sports news, ZANACO Football Club is confident of beating MERRIKH in CAF Champions League match.
Are you a small to medium enterprise looking to advertise your products and services within your community and across Zambia? In these economic times, we are here to help you grow your business. Advertise with us on Camnet Market. Camnet Market is offering lower rates for prime time advertising between 06 to 18 hours every day to give your business an edge under the new normal and beyond. For more details, contact us on the following numbers: 097 975 3010 or 096 296 5883, as well as 096 244 726. You can also reach us via email on info@camnettvafrica.com. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Once again, thank you for choosing us. The new Heritage Party Vice President Samuel Kasanka has called for more sensitization of economic, social and cultural rights, stating that the focus in the country of recent has been on civil and political rights such as freedom of speech and association. He says that due to lack of awareness, rights of citizens are being violated on a daily basis, with offenders going scot-free, hence hindering the country's objective of maintaining the rule of law. The party vice president states that people living in traditional setups, especially vulnerables, have various reports of traditional leaders illegally expelling subjects from their land, hence the need for sensitizations to be enhanced.
A traditional ruler presiding over a simple case between two people can expel you from his or her land. You become a refugee within the country and nobody will come to your rescue because the chief has declared. But that's a violation of right. If you're going to be moved from one place, if you're going to be declared a refugee, you need to be compensated one way or another for you to start new life. We have a lot of violations within, especially among the law enforcement agents. If you are a suspect, you are a suspect. You are supposed to be investigated. But some of these law enforcement agents, the moment you are a suspect, you are as good as guilty. They can beat you up to get a confession out of you. By the time it is discovered that you're not even guilty of that offense, you've been beaten, your limbs are broken, maybe you're even disabled. There are people who are working in abhorrent situations. Some of these foreign investors that have come in, they have no respect for our labor laws. And so you have our people that are being mistreated. They are being paid peanuts. I know we've got a Ministry of Labor, but how many people know that they are being violated? Very few. So it is our view that if we are going to walk the talk about human rights, let us revisit the one institution that we have recognized as being in charge of the understanding of human rights, even investigations of human rights. Let us strengthen the Human Rights Commission.
Opposition Patriotic Front has toasted its victory in Lusangazi Council Chairperson election in Sanzala constituency and the Kaumbu parliamentary seat in Eastern Province. PF Vice President Given Lubinda says the victory is testimony that the Patriotic Front is still a formidable party. Patriotic Front candidate Aaron Mwanza emerged victorious in Kaumbu constituency Eastern Province, getting a total of 6,633 votes, with his closest rival, Ernest Sakala of the United Party for National Development, with 3,117 votes. Here's a report.
The Opposition Patriotic Front has scooped the Kaumbu parliamentary by-election. PF candidate Alon Mwanza polled 6,633 votes, while United Party for National Development UPND's Esnat Sakala secured 3,117 votes. Meanwhile, the Patriotic Front has retained the Lusangazi Council Chairperson seat after its candidate Patrick Banda emerged victorious in the October 21st, 2021 Council Chairperson election, beating Fred Banda of the UPND and William Banda of the Democratic Party.
3,661. Banda Fred, UPND, 2,626. Banda William, DP, 696. I felt in accordance with the provision of the law, I therefore declare that the said Banda Patrick will be this day duly elected.
And the new Lusangasi Council Chairperson assured to facilitate development.
Elections, our colleague from the other camps, they were attacking us and what. So I'm really encouraging everyone, especially PF officials, that let's remain united. Otherwise, I can also state that the PF in Eastern Province is still intact. As you can
It is a true reflection of the will of the people of Kaumbwe. And basically, this win I dedicated to the Patriotic Front President, His Excellency the President of the Republic, the former President of the Republic of Zambia, Edgar Chagwalungu, and the general populace of Patriotic Front member.
PF Vice President Given Lubinda says the PF is branding and does not want to be associated with violence and oppressing citizens. He says the victory is a manifestation that the PF is still a force to reckon with.
Ziko Zambia ni democracy. Analimbikira mpaka yenda vota. Nifuna kwaonga kwambiri. Nionganso wantu wonse amulusangazi. Ziko mkwambiri polimbikira kuti democracy mu Zambia ipitirebe. Chifo cha kutiziwa kuti haga inde hijirema. Afuna kuti aononge democracy. Haga inde hijirema aona kuti kapena ndiye first president wa mu Zambia eka. Once ma president akumbuyo wakasima president ya kuma iye eka. Afuna kuleta dictatorship mu Zambia. Koma bantu wa Kaumbwe, bantu wa Lusangazi yamonesa kuti iai tifuna democracy. So nifa kuti niwange mulungu okasa mpamvu bantu wa Kaumbwe, okasa mpamvu bantu wa Lusangazi kuti amonese kuti afuna democracy.
Meanwhile, President Hakainde Hichilema congratulated the winners in Thursday's polls. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Meanwhile, the United Party for National Development says it is unfortunate that the Patriotic Front could accuse President HH of becoming a dictator when he has proven to be a democrat in his style of leadership. UPND Deputy National Youth Chairman Trevor Mwinde has advised the PF Vice President Given Lubinda to seek relevance in a genuine manner as opposed to tarnishing the name of the head of state with politics of deception. He explains that President Hichilema has been affirming good governance based on the rule of law, which he says the PF failed to achieve while in government. In a telephone interview with Camnet TV, Mr. Mwinde adds that the PF must be ashamed for trying to create false narratives, saying Zambians have already seen the progressive agenda under the UPND administration.
That the PF Vice President, new Vice President, can accuse President Hakainde Hichilema that he is becoming a dictator. It is illogical. It's very wrong, and it is also not in the best interest of the Zambian citizens. Given Lubinda must be one of the last few people that he can comment about President HH's status, because even just let alone the title which he has gotten in PF, he has got issues because even just his language is dividing. If you have heard him say that those that parade and dish out money, we have managed to win. We begin from that angle. This man, he was making a reference to Honorable Chitotera. He was making a reference to Honorable Bowman Rusambo. He was making a reference to Honorable Joe Malanji. And we know and we are aware that Given Lubinda, he has got no crowd and no following because of his selfishness.
The UPND alliance has charged that some individuals in the former ruling Patriotic Front have regrouped in a named political party planning to cause chaos in the country. Speaking at a media briefing Friday, UPND Alliance Media Director Tabo Kawana says the alliance has information that 2 former cabinet ministers in the Patriotic Front have dark corner meetings sporting how to make the country ungovernable. Mr. Kawana warns that the named individuals should not take for granted their freedoms. He says the alliance will in due course reveal the identity of individuals alleged to be planning to cause mayhem in Zambia, adding that security wings are already aware of this issue. Meanwhile, Mr. Kawana says the alliance is on the right trajectory despite losing to the PF in Thursday's parliamentary by-election in Eastern Province.
We are aware that the PF, some of them senior members, some of them former ministers, are holding dark corner meetings in the night at the residence of 2 former ministers, the residences of 2 former ministers. They are meeting there in the night and they are plotting how best to make the country ungovernable. We are aware that they have approached unions to ask them to create turmoil in the workers' industry. We know that they are meeting students' unions to ask them to create an atmosphere of protest. We are aware that they are recalling their thugs and regrouping their thugs, those that were in the markets, those that were causing mayhem to our people, those that were beating up people and causing violence. We want to take the opportunity to warn you, Patriotic Front, to warn you, you individuals that are meeting. We have all of you here. We have a whole list. We have your footage. We have your voice recordings. We have the minutes. We have everything you are doing. We want to warn you, desist from what you are doing. Do not take, I repeat, do not take your newly found freedoms for granted to try and destabilize the country.
Police in Eastern Province have apprehended and detained Esaya Zimba, aged 30, of Showgrounds compound, Petauke, for the offense of malicious damage to property. Zambia Police spokesperson Ray Hamonga says this was after Goodson Lungu, aged 51, of village Mwanjavantu, Petauke district, had reported on behalf of David Milombe, also of the same abode. Mr. Hamonga says he reported that a motor vehicle, Toyota Corolla, had been maliciously damaged by people he was able to identify. He explains that the incident took place on the 21st of October 2021 at about 11 hours near Nyilungu Primary School, Chief Mwajavantu, within Petauke district. Brief facts are that on 21st October 2021 at around 11 hours, Mr. Goodson Lungu was driving the said Toyota Corolla from Nyalinga Primary School. Mr. Hamonga says it was then that they met a Toyota Hiace minibus chasing the Toyota Corolla until the driver and his passenger abandoned the said vehicle. He says the suspect and other maliciously damaged it, adding that the police visited the crime scene and found both the rear and front windscreens shattered, broken side view mirrors. Meanwhile, an eyewitness shared with Camnet TV what transpired. Let's look at this.
Vaja ndiye pamene vapeza motoka ija. Vakapeza ija motoka ndiye kuyamba kuipwanya motoka ija kuipwanya. Vakaipwanya motoka vanyamata vakuamene kuja kunyalingu nikutitumira foni kuti ija motoka ya mwenzemo wa chamani mwachitabu ino kuthawa. Vapwanya yonse notiramo vimadoti. Tauza vapolisi vabwera na masoja. Babwera la polisi tikali kukambisana kabasi kamene kaja kabwera palise no wauza polisi kuti niyaka kabasi ndiye kenzo tikonga nizona wa polisi vayimirika kabasi kaja no vachosa wonse vantu nonkala pansi but ava vantu siva muno mu constituency kuti ningakambe kuti ni vantu vamuno mu Kaumbu constituency siva muno vaja vantu kuyambo secha muja mbasi vapezamo mwenze ma knife na malegeni vatola polisi.
Government has suspended operations at KASENSELI gold mine in Winilonga district, Northwestern Province. Announcing this development at a media briefing, Mines and Minerals Development Minister Paul Kabose says government is not sure what the mine remits to the gold treasury reserves at the central bank. Mr. Kabose also cited lack of safety measures at the mine.
In our recent visit to KASENSELI mine on the 14th of October, with my senior ministry officials, it was observed with dismay that the KASENSELI mine has contravened conditions of its mining and the exploration license that presents danger of imminent harm to persons within the mining area, some of which include unsafe underground boring of the pit, unplanned mining plan contrary to the requirements of an approved operations parameters, loss of life due within the mining area without safety considerations by the mine, and also a displaced community which was unfairly compensated, and no clear-cut reserves and resources statement including production. You may wish to know that KASENSELI mine has clearly lost its, in fact the KASENSELI mine, Zambia Gold Company has lost its social license with the people. And because of this, due to this unsafe and non-compliance of the license conditions, the ministry through Mine Safety Department has suspended with immediate effect all production at KASENSELI gold mine until remedial measures are put in place.
Local Government and Rural Development Minister Gary Nkombo says waste disposal is a major challenge in the country that needs concerted efforts to be addressed. Mr. Nkombo says government would take keen interest in promoting hierarchy and secular economic principles in line with achieving both socio-economic benefits and reduction of negative environmental impacts. The minister says the UPND administration recognizes the importance of maintaining the environment and has since established the Ministry of Environment and Green Economy. He said this during the first National Symposium for Waste Packers and Plastic Pollution held in Lusaka Friday, in a speech read on his behalf by Acting Local Government and Rural Development Permanent Secretary Kasonde Mwila.
Friday, 22nd October 2021, Zambia held the first National Symposium for Waste Pickers and Plastic Pollution in Lusaka at the Mulungushi International Conference Center. Minister of Local Government and Rural Development Gary Nkombo says waste disposal is a major challenge in the country that needs to be addressed through concerted efforts. In a speech read on his behalf by the Acting Local Government and Rural Development Permanent Secretary Kasonde Mwila, the minister also mentioned that government will initiate deliberate policies that will steer behavioral changes and raise people's consciousness about the environment.
The presence here today is a token of your willingness to join us in facing this challenge. I welcome this and want to take your input on board in shaping this collaboration in finding more concrete initiatives to support our environment and firms that work under this sector. I believe that we will use this action as a guide in starting and maintaining our partnerships.
Meanwhile, Citizens Environmental and Social Concern Executive Director Conwell Hagapia says they want to formalize waste pickers in view of bringing sanity in the sector while safeguarding the environment.
We are in the process of having them registered, having a registered platform that we're calling Platform for Waste Pickers Zambia. That in itself is going to speak on their behalf, because waste pickers in our country do not have a voice. They are exploited. It's modern day slavery. Even the work condition in which they operate is deplorable. It's inhuman. And we decided to come up with this symposium so that we can bring stakeholders together to see to it that we discuss the plight of the waste pickers and hear from themselves, the waste pickers, to give us their experience and their expectation, and also regulators and local authorities to see how best that we can see that our waste pickers are working in protected and better conditions.
Center for Zero Waste and Development Chief Executive Officer Billy Lombe says waste pickers have been for a long time sidelined despite playing a critical role towards safeguarding the environment.
It comes in at a time that our waste pickers need recognition in Zambia because they haven't been recognized. So this is a platform that both SESCO and CZWDA we've created for waste pickers to come together and discuss issues that affect them. In more particular issues, the waste pickers' rights, the waste pickers' issues to do with the market price, where they take the waste to the recycling companies, and also the other things that waste pickers need to be protected.
The symposium was being held under the theme Formalizing Informal Waste Pickers, Key to Achieving a Green Economy. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Commerce, Trade and Industry Minister Chipoka Mulenga says government has embarked on business regulatory reforms aimed at reducing the cost of doing business. Mr. Mulenga says the Zambian government is determined to attract foreign investors that will help build business portfolios of local small and medium enterprises through mutually benefited and sustainable partnerships. Speaking when he addressed a ministerial meeting at the Turkey Africa Economic and Business Forum in Istanbul Thursday, Mr. Mulenga says government is working towards creating a conducive environment of business to thrive and to enable SMEs compete favorably at the international level. The ministerial meeting was co-chaired by Minister of Trade of Republic of Turkey, Dr. Mehmet Mus, and African Union Commissioner for Economic Development, Trade, Industry and Mining, Ambassador Albert Muchanga.
Focusing on is trade and investment as a major bilateral engagement with foreign nationals, whom we consider to be our greatest trading partners. And among these reforms that we have done is to make sure that the mode of doing business in Zambia is done at the lowest cost. And to engage this, we want to do it with more of our neighboring countries, the Congo and many others. We also see a blessing in our geographical position as a landlocked country, which we see to be a landlocked country with many opportunities that we can take advantage of by using Zambia as a hub for investment in the mining industry, the agricultural sector, and the tourism sector, among many others. But to achieve this, we need to improve our infrastructure, we need to improve our technology.
Community Development and Social Services Minister Doreen Mwamba says the new government has been having sleepless nights to ensure that youth's unemployment in the country is addressed. Speaking during the Youth's Skills graduation ceremony in Kitwe Friday, Ms. Mwamba says the graduation of 216 former street kids who have been trained by the Zambia National Service is a sign to show that government is committed to ensure that it provides a better life for its citizens. Meanwhile, ZNS Deputy Commander Major Ruben Mwewa says the graduates' students have fully been grilled to compete on the market. He says the girls that have graduated from the center have the necessary skills and are able to compete with those graduating from other skills countrywide. Miriam Kaimba was in Kitwe and brought us this report.
In order to address unemployment levels in the country, government has over the years worked hand in hand with the Zambia National Service by training youths across the country with different types of skills. Friday morning, 216 young girls from the street across the country graduated from ZNS Kitwe Youth Skills Training Center. The vocational skill training program was aimed at meeting the learning skills of former young street girls who have been in unstable circumstances, in addition to providing the girls with vital skill for employment and income generation. The program reduces youths on the street. The girls, who have been trained in different skills such as shoemaking, building, farming, among others, had time to showcase their works to the Minister of Community Development.
Under poultry production, we've learned how to take good care of the chicken from the day-old chicks up to the point of slaughtering.
Prevents water from saturating into the wall, and it has a...
Speaking during the graduation ceremony, the minister said government is committed to ensure that it works tirelessly and address the high unemployment levels in the country.
That the training of 216 youths graduating today just sets the tone for the rolling out of the new Dawn government's ambitious youth empowerment program, encouraging to learn how the Zambia National Service, in particular, is positioning itself to be the government's perfect vehicle to push the national agenda for youth skills empowerment program forward.
Meanwhile, the ZNS Deputy Commandant, Major General Ruben Mwewa, said the 216 graduating students will be sent for 12 months to selected facilities in Zambia Army.
Female youth graduating commenced their compressed skills training program in February 2021. We believe that the graduating trainees before us have been fully molded into qualified artisans in various life supporting skills. We have no doubt that with the knowledge and skills and attitudes that they have acquired, they will be more than ready to engage in decent entrepreneurial activities.
Over the years, government through Zambia National Service have been getting youths from the streets and empowering them with life-surviving skills. Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
This is Camnet News. We take our first set of commercials. Still to come are more interesting stories. Don't go away.
Would you like to win some cool cash? Say no more. Stand a chance to win your share of 1 million kwacha. Simply make a transaction from your Zamtel mobile money account and you could be one of weekly winners of up to 10,000 kwacha. Be empowered with Zamtel mobile money. Dial *344# to activate your account. This promotion runs from 28th July to 31st October 2021. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
In our quest to save nations and develop Africa, Savenda is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. Savenda Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think Savenda Farms.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying on. Operation Young Vote has raised concern at the State Investigative Wing's decision to entirely go along with Section 83 of the Anti-Corruption Commission Act and forgo the pieces of legislation and laws pertaining to crime that include theft. OIV Executive Director Ges Nyirenda says while the dictates of the above-cited law is appreciated, the organization is of the view that the law only binds the ACC and not the other investigative wings such as the Zambia Police Service and the Drug Enforcement Commission, among others. Mr. Nyirenda says other investigative wings must jump on the case using the Penal Code and other laws, especially that Faith Musonda has failed to justify ownership of the 65 million kwacha and the 57,000 United States dollars, including a house in New Kasama.
The other investigative wings must jump on the Faith Musonda case by using the Penal Code and other laws, especially that Faith Musonda has failed to justify the ownership of the 65 million kwacha and the $57,000 and the house in New Kasama. As Operation Young Vote, we are of the considered view that dealing with such attitudes and emotionless individuals who are ready to commit crimes against humanity with kid gloves on the basis of asset recovery is not only a cheap argument but also an effort to divert from the essence of fighting crime, which is basically to stop crime completely and ensuring that you deter the would-be offenders by ensuring that those that are found wanting are punished severely. If crime was fought to recover what was lost, how then do we justify the fact that citizens of this country could not access medicines in hospitals because the government claimed that they had no money and people were hiding the money? How do we then justify people losing their lives on that basis? How do we bring back the lost lives?
Vice President Mutale Nalumango has urged individuals who are in possession of money and property obtained from corrupt activities to take advantage of Section 80 of the Anti-Corruption Commission Act No. 3 of 2012 that allows the state to grant amnesty to accused persons in certain circumstances on condition that they admit wrongdoing and forfeit corruptly acquired items to the state in exchange for their freedom. The ACC announced Thursday that the state had granted embattled television personality Margaret Gisela Musonda, also known as Faith Musonda, her freedom using the same act after she made full disclosure of the source of her money and forfeited the over 65 million kwacha and over 57,000 United States dollars, including a house in New Kasama. Other stakeholders have, however, expressed sadness over this development. Here's a report.
All eyes have been on television personality Margaret Gisela Musonda, also known as Faith Musonda, since police recovered over 65 million kwacha and over 57,000 United States dollars in a house in New Kasama, as the money and property were suspected to be proceeds of crime. After many weeks of investigations, the Anti-Corruption Commission ACC, in a statement released Thursday, announced that the commission, in a joint venture with the Zambia Police, the Drug Enforcement Commission and the Financial Intelligence Center, had concluded investigations. The SEC further went to review that the state would not institute criminal proceedings against Ms. Musonda as she had forfeited the money and house to the state after making full disclosure of the source, and hence was granted amnesty in accordance with Section 80 of the Anti-Corruption Act No. 3 of 2012, which allows the state to grant amnesty in certain instances if the said provisions are met. The ACC further stated that the act of disclosure and forfeiture was welcome as it saves time from prosecution processes which can be lengthy and costly. Republican Vice President Mutalina Lumango, speaking during the Vice President's question time in Parliament Friday, has called on people who are in possession of money and property acquired through corrupt means to take advantage of the same act.
This is the method that is being used. And we urge colleagues in this matter that if you know you acquired something in that manner, it's important, in fact, that you come forward because you know that that is not your property or your resources. Because if you are caught and you want to go to court, definitely this government will not start arresting people without investigation. You will know that the investigations have been done. And truly, you will have to explain to the Zambian people. But this is a provision which allows the state to return the money and put it back to the public use.
Other stakeholders, however, have raised a different point of view. Zambia News Association in the fight against corruption board chairperson Mr. Rickson Kalema feels the act should be amended.
Because some people may not be lucky. Some of them, their properties will be recovered as well as going into prison. So even us as an organization, this law, we appreciate it, yes, but it is not good enough. We would want to see those people who dip their fingers in public coffers being punished, and what if they stolen, taken back to the Zambian people. That is the only way we're going to send a very serious deterrent measure to who will be perpetrators of corruption.
The new administration indicated that it will embark on a process of recovering public resources lost to corruption and ensuring that this vice is completely stamped out. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Meanwhile, Vice President Mutalina Lumango says government will continue to relook at the debt swap initiative in order to come up with a permanent solution. The Vice President says civil servants had contributed to their debt when they failed to remit the resources which prompted government to intervene. The Vice President was responding to a question raised by Mporokoso Member of Parliament Brian Mondobile, who wanted to find out if government will soon come up with a permanent solution to the debt swap initiative on the floor of Parliament.
The decision by the government to suspend the debt swap initiative has continued to attract criticism from those who have been affected by the decision. While the October salary payslips have indicated a double deduction for the month of July and August 2021 when the initiative was initiated, government has assured that it will refund back all those who have been affected by the decision. However, some labor unions and persons have complained that the decision will affect a lot of people going forward.
Now this month end of October, people have received the payslip. And the lenders have continued deducting the monies. But to the surprise, the public service microfinance has appeared on the payslip. Now the question is, in what form are they appearing on the payslip?
We want to appeal to the government, even as it has stated that this is the government, the European government is the government of law, and that they should respect the collective agreement that has been signed with civil servants, so that the matter is settled once and for all.
And speaking at the floor of Parliament Friday morning, Vice President Mutalina Lumango says our government will continue to relook at the debt swap initiative in order to come up with a permanent solution. The Vice President was responding to a question raised by Mporokoso Member of Parliament Brian Mondobile, who wanted to find out what permanent solutions government was putting in place to table the debt swap issue.
And we are calling upon Your Honor to tell the nation and the civil servant as to whether you will soon come up with a permanent solution as regards debt swap.
The program, Honorable Member, did not involve only government and the civil servants. In fact, the civil servants were simply a third party in the sense that they were to remit the money. That is what they had. But they caused a lot of indebtedness also because of failure to remit. This is how government came in. But I will tell you that the actual agreement was between government and the workers. And the amount concerned was not in the way you politically wanted to put it.
The Vice President adds that the debt swap initiative was politicized by the previous administration as it was done in a wrong manner.
Negotiations are continuing. It's a continuous thing. Year in, year out, there is a collective bargaining. The only issue that I'll talk about is the recoveries that we have made of the 2 months. The recoveries, Madam Speaker, cannot be done now because it was not spoken about. And therefore, this government, a listening government, has already signed with the unions that the recoveries for the 2 months will be paid back to the members until we find what the honorable member calls a permanent solution.
While it is true that the debt swap initiative will affect many families going forward, coming up with a solution in the quickest possible manner will help prevent the damages that the initiative may cause to those affected by it. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The National Action for Quality Education in Zambia has called for skills audit to be conducted to ensure that skills that will be relevant to the development needs of the country are adopted in the education system. In an interview with Camnet TV, NACE's Executive Director, Aaron Chansa, states that if Zambia's developmental agenda is to be achieved, there is need to ensure that human resource in the country is well equipped with necessary skills to achieve this goal. He has also advised the new teacher recruitment that will be conducted by the Ministry of Education be done at district level to prevent the trend of rural-urban migration of teachers.
Global rankings place Zambia as one of the poorest countries in the world with an annual growth rate of less than 2%. The country, however, aspires to achieve the status of a prosperous middle-income country by 2030 and has aligned itself to the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which should be achieved if this agenda is to be arrived at. An education expert has called on government through the Ministry of Education to begin conducting a skills audit to ensure that the education curriculum, both at general and tertiary levels, includes skills that are relevant to the country's development needs. In an interview with Camnet News, National Action for Quality Education NACE's Executive Director, Mr. Aaron Chansa, states that aligning the education system to Zambia's development aspirations will also help in achieving other sustainable development goals, as Zambia will have well-equipped human resources to see these achieved.
We need to do this skills audit, find out the kind of courses, the kind of training, the kind of teaching we are supposed to be giving to our young people, so that we don't just give these courses for the sake of it, but craft courses and subjects that should be able to respond to the developmental needs of Zambia. We need vocational skills, we need practical skills to give to our graduates.
Meanwhile, Mr. Chansa adds that while statements by the new government recruit more teachers are welcome, the deployment should be done strategically to avoid rural-urban migration of teachers, which leaves rural schools deserted.
The recruitment must be based at district level. Let districts recruit people who are well knowledgeable about their districts, and like recruiting people from towns and have these people come back as soon as they report in those rural areas. So we are very, very happy, and we can't wait to see the new budget for 2022. We can't wait to see these numbers being recruited. This is the only way we're going to have quality education in our schools.
It has also called for entrepreneurship and technological advances to be promoted so as to foster development. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
A pharmaceutical expert, Jerome Kanyika, has commended the move by the Minister of Health, Silva Masebo, of moving the procurement function of drugs from the Ministry of Health to the Zambia Medicines and Medical Supplies Agency. In an interview with Camnet TV, Mr. Kanyika says it has been long overdue. Mr. Kanyika adds that this should be an opportunity for Zambia Medicines and Medical Supplies Agency to engage credible professionals in the way drugs are procured in the country. The pharmaceutical expert has further advised the recalling of drugs after being procured to come to an end.
Contractors, we want ZAMSA to actualize in terms of contract to supply the drugs, to give also to the Zambian people, and that way we are going to empower the Zambian youth, the Zambian companies to participate in these tenders that are there to supply the medication to the people. And moving forward, we want to see that like the minister mentioned yesterday, she mentioned also that the debt that the government has put or that they have with the Ministry of Health, she has secured some resources through the Ministry of Finance to pay some of the debts. And in this situation, she has said some debts that the government owes is going to stay with the Ministry of Health, and to ZAMSA, they are not going to incur any debt as they are starting. So all the debt that the ministry they have, it is going to be sorted out by Ministry of Health headquarters. That is also a positive move, meaning that the funding and also the money that will be in the 2022 budget.
The Ministry of Health is called on various stakeholders to help in the provision of supplies for mental health affected patients, which will go a long way in the promotion of health systems. Officiating at the World Mental Health Day commemoration, Ms. Masewa says there is need to increase funding to the health sector, as this will alleviate a lot of mental disorders among them, such as depression and alcohol abuse.
The COVID-19 pandemic has had a major impact on people's mental health. Some groups, including health and other frontline workers, students, people living alone, and those with pre-existing mental health conditions, have been particularly affected. And services for mental, neurological, and substance use disorders have been significantly disrupted. The Zambian government has recognized the need to scale up quality mental health services at all levels and have found new ways of providing mental health care to their population. Ministry of Health has called on various stakeholders to aid in the provision of supplies for mental health affected patients, which will go a long way in the promotion of health systems.
In providing supplies for people in need. As a sector, we are aware that provision of quality mental health services has lagged behind over the years. We are therefore reminded to do more, as mental disorders constitute a very important component of the disease burden countrywide. According to the World Health Organization, mental illnesses affect about 1 out of every 4 persons worldwide. This clearly tells us that the disease burden for mental health illnesses and disorders is among the highest worldwide and has now become even more significant during the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic, therefore, has potential to cause a major mental health crisis.
And Mental Health Users Network of Zambia says lack of investments in mental health imbalances has contributed to mental health gap in the country.
75% to 95% of people with mental disorders in low and middle income countries are unable to access mental health services at all. Lack of investment in mental health imbalance to the overall health budget contributes to the mental health treatment gap in our country. Many people with mental illnesses do not receive the treatment they are entitled to and deserve. Together with their families and carers, continue to experience stigma and discrimination. The gap between the haves and the have-nots grows ever wider, and there is continuing unmet need in the care of people with mental health problems.
Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
This is Camnet News. We take another set of commercials. When we return, we have international and sports news. Stay with us.
At Savenda Express Printing, we have the capacity to deliver quality in all kinds of printing services timely. Our lines of production include screen printing, embroidery, lithography, and large format printing. We take pride in delivering quality work at very competitive rates with our in-house, highly experienced and qualified designers. With the ability to print full color and embossing prints, our state-of-the-art screen printing machines are able to print 1,000 pieces per hour. Our embroidery machines are able to print any logo with 1 or up to 12 colors all at once and has an output capacity of 100 pieces per hour. Savenda Express Printing also does large format printing for billboards, banners, vinyl, car stickers, posters, tire covers, cups, pens, bags, flasks, packaging boxes, and well, just anything that can need printing. For inquiries, give us a call on 0960 344 471.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes, and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Are you a small to medium enterprise looking to advertise your products and services within your community and across Zambia? In these economic times, we are here to help you grow your business. Advertise with us on Camnet Market. Camnet Market is offering lower rates for prime time advertising between 06 to 18 hours every day to give your business an edge under the new normal and beyond. For more details, contact us on the following numbers: 097 975 3010 or 096 296 5883, as well as 096 244 726. You can also reach us via email on info@camnettvafrica.com. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. Libya's unity government has stressed its commitment to a ceasefire in an international conference in Tripoli. It is looking for support ahead of nationwide elections scheduled for December 2021. In other news, pro-democracy protests have been banned in the Kingdom of Eswatini. All South African envoys begin meditations. Internet access has been limited, with Facebook shut off after protest against the king. Dozens of pro-democracy protesters were injured in the crackdown that began in June.
Matsabu Zabu Kunane recognized the police officer who shot him in the leg during a protest in June. He says the officer knew him too because he is a longtime community and HIV activist. The self-employed father of 5 is now an amputee.
I am fighting I want to see a time when our life will be better than this. Whenever I'm sitting, I feel like crying. In fact, it's destroying me because I know what happened to me and I know who have done it.
Protesters in Eswatini have been on the street since June, calling for democratic reforms in Africa's last absolute monarchy. They accuse King Mswati of living lavishly while ignoring the poverty in this country of 1.1 million people. Amnesty International says more than 80 people have been killed and more than 1,000 arrested, including children and 2 members of parliament who remain in jail. The government says 37 people have died. The Deputy Prime Minister says the protests have caused $68 million in damages and economic losses. People haven't been able to go to work. Businesses have been shuttered. Schools have been closed indefinitely. The government says it hasn't been able to deliver food to the needy or mental health services due to the unrest. Deputy Prime Minister Themba Masuku says King Mswati will have a dialogue with all sectors of society once the violence ends and COVID-19 is over.
We are ready to engage, but it is important to note that any engagement must be in an environment of calm, It must be in an environment of peace.
But protesters, including Kunane, are showing no sign of ending their unprecedented push for democracy. 35 years after gaining independence.
I will fight until, if it's possible, they will cut another leg. And if I still have hands, they will cut the hands until they cut my heart, because that is where I'll stop living or breathing. So I will not stop.
The government says it will continue to restrict access to social media and ban protests it sees as a security threat in order to restore the peace.
Delegates from over 30 countries and international organizations, including the UN, European Union, and the Arab League, gathered in the Libyan capital for Libya Stabilization Conference. High on the agenda, the upcoming general election, unifying state institutions, and the expulsion of foreign fighters and mercenaries.
Libya Stability Conference is with no doubt a very important event in Libya's history, as Libya didn't host such a big event where all its neighboring and friends countries are representing from the heart of the capital of Libya, Tripoli. And this shows a very bold statement that Libya is going toward stability in a very strong and steady steps. Also, it shows the solidarity of the international community toward Libya's stability.
Previous conferences on Libya were held in Berlin, Geneva, Paris, and Italy. It's the first time in over 10 years that an international meeting on Libya is being held within the country.
Nationwide elections are scheduled in just over 2 months, but there are a few roadblocks that may see them postponed. A constitutional framework to hold elections has yet to be agreed upon, and there are an estimated 20,000 foreign fighters and mercenaries in Libya. A comprehensive action plan to expel them out of the country is one of the main topics being discussed here.
The government of national unity hopes this conference can build international support and pressure to expel foreign fighters out of the country, but it's not likely to happen before the elections.
You're looking at a very pragmatic approach of in phases, starting to withdraw foreign fighters, mercenaries, and foreign forces. Some of that can happen before the election, some of it would happen after the election. I think the important thing is to try to continue our efforts together to start that process.
Many people here believe this conference is a step in the right direction.
This conference being held in Libya and attended by so many countries is a sign that the international community are now convinced how important Libya is for regional security and stability. The hope is that differences can be put aside and consensus is made to move the country forward.
With political divisions emerging within the unity government, many Libyans feared the elections would be postponed and they see a return to the fighting. This show of international support may give some a glimmer of hope the country can move forward. Malik Traina, Al Jazeera, Tripoli.
Well, that's it for international news. We now look at sports news. ZANACO Football Club is confident they will win Saturday's match against MERRIKH in the ongoing Confederation of African Football Champions League after losing 3-0 in favor of MERRIKH. Speaking during a pre-match press briefing, ZANACO head coach Kelvin Kaundu said the team performed extremely well in the previous match played against the opponents on the 16th of October 2021. Kaundu is confident that when they utilize the chances in Saturday's game and score, it will give ZANACO an advantage.
ZANACO Football Club is confident they will win tomorrow's match against MERRIKH SC in the ongoing Confederation of African Football Championship League after losing 3-0 in favor of MERRIKH SC. Speaking during a pre-match press briefing, ZANACO head coach Kelvin Kaundu said the team performed extremely well in the previous match played against the opponents on the 16th of October 2021. Kaundu is confident that when they utilize the chances in tomorrow's game and score, that will give ZANACO an advantage.
Got the scoreline at the end of the game, we would think probably we were outplayed, but I think it was not the way the game was. I think we had the upper hand than the opponents. We created more chances. Just unfortunate that we did not score. And if we're able to utilize the few chances that we have, I think it probably gives us an advantage.
And ZANACO Football Club captain says the team is ready to face their opponents and emerge victorious.
Thank you very much. Like the coach has said, a lot of things have been done since we came back. I think each and everyone is looking forward for the game. Like the coach has said, last time I think we had more chances than them. which we never utilized. I think this time we have worked on it and we're looking forward for the game tomorrow.
Meanwhile, MERRIKH SC assistant coach says tomorrow's game will be tough as ZANACO is a strong team.
We united together and maybe our fitness was better than ZANACO team. But ZANACO got a lot of chances, like your coach said, and we have to be aware because your team is a very good team.
Blessings Chakwila, Camnet Sports, Lusaka.
With that sporting item ends our news this evening. The headlines once again. Given LUBINDA accuses President HH of becoming a dictator as PF toasts to victory. Vice President justifies Faith Musonda's forfeiture of dubiously earned money. Government suspends operations at KASENSELI gold mine. In international news, Libya's unity government stretches commitment to ceasefire. And in sports news, ZANACO Football Club is confident of beating MERRIKH in CAF Champions League match. We now look at the Camnet verse of the day, and it's coming from Proverbs 22, verse 22 to 23, and it reads, "Do not exploit the poor because they are poor, and do not crush the needy in court, for the Lord will take up their case and will exert life for life." That's all we had for you on the desk. Thank you so much for choosing us. My name is Sharon Kalimbula. Good night and keep watching Camnet TV.